So day before yesterday, we have done the lab deploying Docker containers to Azure App Service. Now, some of you may face difficulty while writing the Docker file or understanding the concept of the Docker file. So what I did, I uploaded a video on whole video on single video on Docker file only. Okay. So if you go to your Azure DevOps class, this lab number 6. Here I have uploaded a whole folder on Docker file concepts. If you open this, there's a video on that, and there is a image. So please go through that video if you face difficulties while understanding what is a Docker file or how to write a Docker file. I uploaded this video for that purpose only. So inside lab number 6, you will find that. Now let's see lab number 7, controlling deployments using classic release gates. So this lab requires Microsoft Record. All these things we have already. So I'll not go through the lab requirements. So what this lab will do, pre-deployment gates, all those things what we have seen earlier before starting the lab when we were trying to run the pipelines, the build pipelines and the release pipelines. So in the release pipelines, we have seen some type of gates, classic release gates. So all those functioning we will see again. There are 4 types of gates included in every account: invoke Azure function, trigger and execute of Azure function and ensures the successful completion, query Azure monitor alerts, observe the configured Azure monitor alert rules of active alerts. So there were 4 to 5 gates we have seen. Okay. So all those gates, they are demonstrating in the lab. Invoke REST API. So make a call to REST API and continuous. If it returns a successful response, query work items. If you want to query some work item, then before releasing or before the CD pipeline will run, ensure the number of matching work items returned from a query. After you complete this lab, you will be able to configure release pipelines, configure release gates, and test release gates. Let's see now. Configure the lab prerequisites. We already have that eShop on web project. Okay. Skip if already done. If this task, you will create eShop on web project. Already we already have a project. We already imported a repository. Okay. All these things. So till here, we already have that. Where it is, if you go to Azure DevOps organization, click on so in your Azure DevOps organization, you already have this eShop on web project. Okay. All files. If you go to repos, you have all these files here. Now what? Configure CI pipeline as code with YAML in Azure DevOps. Okay. So navigate back to the pipelines, create your first pipeline, click create pipeline. Choose Azure repos git YAML, select a repository eShop on web, configure your pipeline, scroll down to the existing pipeline, select a pipeline, eShop on web CI YAML. I think we already did that also. So eShop on web CI.yaml. Already we have that pipeline. We already ran it in some lab. Okay. So that's why here is it written. It is written skip if already done. Okay. From the reviewer pipeline YAML screen, click Run to start the build process. Wait for the build pipeline to complete successfully. Ignore any warnings regarding to the source code itself, as they are not relevant for this lab exercise. Your pipeline will take a name based on the project name. Let's rename it eShop on Web CI. Already we have that. All these things we have that. So task 3 also, we have done it fully. So we'll skip that. I'll come to exercise 2. Creating the necessary Azure resource for the pipeline. So create 2 Azure web apps. So we have to create 2 Azure web apps now. In this task, you will create 2 Azure web app representing the dev, test, and production environments into which you will deploy the application via Azure pipeline. From the lab computer, start a web browser, navigate to the portal. Now in the Azure portal, click the Cloud Shell icon located directly to the right of the search box. If prompted, Bash or PowerShell, select Bash. From the Bash prompt in the Cloud Shell pane, run the following command to create a resource group. Replace the region placeholder with the name of the Azure region. Okay, so this is to just create the resource group. Now they are asking you to create 2 web apps now. So let's create 2 web apps here. I'll go to the Cloud Shell. Use the Bash as given in the lab. So now let's create this, create the resource group, and then create the app service plan. So we are creating through commands as of now. Resource group is created. To create an app service plan, give the app service plan name and run this particular command. So these are the CLI commands through which we are creating the resource as of now. If you want, you can create through portal as well. So this is the app service plan. Now we are creating 2 web apps inside the app service plan. One is dev test, another one is production. We'll again copy this. So this app service plan is created now. We'll create 2 web apps over here. Wait for the web app services resources provisioning process to complete and close the Cloud Shell pane. Configure an application insight resource. After this, we'll be configure an application insight. Okay. Now the web app has been created. Let's go back, select the resource group. There you will find the resource group. You click on the resource group, you will find an app service plan over here and two app services. One is dev test, another one is production. You can record the name of your dev test web app as instructed over there. So I'll record the name. Configure an application insight in the Azure portal. Use the search resources, services, and docs text box at the top of the page to search for application insight, and in the list select application insight. On the application insight blade, click create. On the application insight blade, on the basic steps, specify the following settings. So what you have to do now to create application insight. So search for application insight. Now this application insight is a software as a service. Okay. Application insight. It will monitor your application. So if you click on create over here, you will be able to create the application insight. A resource group you can give. The name of the dev test web app you recorded in the previous task. Same name you can give to the app service plan. What else? Region or resource mode is classic. Classic resource mode. Disregard the deprecation message. This is required in order to prevent failures of the enable continuous integration DevOps task you will be using in the lab. So there is a message coming over there. You have to disregard it. Okay. Classic application insight is deprecated and will be retired in February 2004. Please consider using workspace based application insight. So from February 2004, this classic one will be deprecated. Okay. And then people will be using workspace based. Okay. Click review plus create and click create. Wait for the provisioning process to process complete. In the Azure portal, navigate to the resource group you created in the previous task. In the list of resources, click the dev test web app. On the dev test web app page, in the vertical menu of the left hand side settings icon, click application insight. On the application insight blade, click turn on application insight. Now what we have to do? First, we have to create this application insight. Deployment is done. Your application insight has been created. Now what you have to do? You have to go back to your resource dev test. web app. And then in the settings section, you have to go to click on application insight and turn on application insight. What is saying on the application insight bit, click turn on application insight. In the change your resource section, click the select existing resource option. In the list of existing resources, select the newly created application insight. Click apply. When prompted for confirmation, click yes. Wait until the change takes effect. You will create monitoring alerts, which you will use in the later part of this job. Okay. So we'll click on turn on application insight enabled. What else? Collect the application monitoring data. Link to the application insight resource. Your app will be connected to the auto created application insight resource, this one. Okay. Now what else they are saying after turning it on? In the change your resource, click select existing resource option in the list of existing resources. So change your resource. Select the newly created application insight resource, click apply. New resource name is select existing one. In the Azure subscription, you can find your resource. Not coming in the list. Let's click on apply. Now it is coming. Apply. Sometimes it take time to update. From the same settings, application insight menu option within the web app, select view application insights data. This redirects you to the application insight blade in the portal. So what they're saying, from the settings, application insight menu option within the web app, select view application insight data. Let's go again, check over there. Application insights. View application. This will take you to the application insight. Okay. So it will give you all the things like failed, how many requests are coming to the server, how many requests are going from the server, failed number of failed requests, server, what is the server response time, server request, how many requests are there, then availability, all the things. So when your application will be deployed, you can see the performance of your application will be visible over here through these graphs. And if you want, like, show the data, you can show, you can have the data for 1 hour, 30 minutes, 6 hours, 12 hours, 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days. There are many options to investigate in the settings like application map, smart detection, live metrics. You can see the live metrics of your application. Okay. If you click on live metrics and all, as of now, we haven't deployed any application, but in here you can see the live metrics of your application. Request rate, request duration, request failure time, dependency call rate, dependency call duration, all the things you can see over here. Availability of your application, failures, how many number of failures, performance of your application you can monitor over here. All these things you can see with the application inside. So this is a application monitoring tool or a software, which is software as a service totally provided by Azure. Just need to create and attach it to your application. Okay. So on the application inside resource blade in the monitoring section, click alerts and then click create alert rule. So here there is a monitoring, there are alerts over here. And you can click on create alert rule. So as of now, we are creating an alert, okay, for the application which will be deploying. Okay. On the select a signal blade in the search by signal name text box, type request from the list of the results, select failed request. So here select a signal. Now what kind of signal? Failed request. On the create a alert rule blade in the condition section, leave the threshold set to static. Validate other default settings as follows. threshold set to static. Okay. So threshold set to static. What else? Aggregation type count operator greater than unit is count. Aggregation type count operator greater than and unit is count. In the threshold value box, type 0 and click the new action. Next actions. Don't take any changes in the actions settings blade and define the following parameters under the details section. So after set the threshold value to 0 and click on next actions. Go to the actions, select some action group. Okay. In the threshold value type box 0, next actions. Okay. In the detail section, severity. Now you have to select the don't make any changes in the action settings blade and define the following parameters under the details section. Again, go next, come to the details section, severity. Now, what kind of severity alert you want to set? So here they are giving some data like severity is 2. So 2. Alert rule name. So R gates dev test failed request. Advanced option automatically resolve alerts cleared. Automatically resolve alerts cleared. Okay. Metric alert rule might take up to 10 minutes to activate. You can create multiple alert rules on different metrics such as availability. So there can be multiple alerts. As of now, what we are creating failed request. You can have alert on availability less than 99%. So if your application is available less than 99%, you can create an alert. Response time is more than 5 seconds. Means you're uh, making a request to your application, but the request time is greater than 5 seconds. Then also you can create an alert. Okay. Or server exceptions greater than 0. If there are server exceptions which are greater than 0, means if there is any one server exception also, it will send you an alert. Okay. All these things you can set alert for different things. Confirm the creation of the alert rule by clicking review and create, and confirm once more by clicking create. Wait for the alert rule to create successfully. Okay. Click on create. Just creating an alert rule now. Configure the release pipeline. In this exercise, you will configure a release pipeline, set up release task. In this task, you will set up the release task as part of the pipeline from eShop on web project in the Azure DevOps portal. In the vertical navigation pane, select pipelines. Then within the pipeline section, click releases. Okay. Click new pipeline. Okay, let's go to the releases section now. Here in the pipeline section, go to releases. In the release section, click on pipeline. Click new pipeline. From select a template window, choose Azure App Service Deployment, which will deploy your application to the app service. Choose from the web app on Windows, Linux, containers, function apps, or jobs under the featured list of templates. Click apply. So we'll create a new pipeline over here. And it is asking us to search for Azure App Service Deployment now. Here you can see, choose Azure App Service Deployment and click apply. Click on apply. From the stage windows appearing, update the default stage 1 stage name dev test to dev test. Close the pop-up window by using the cross button. You are now in the graphical editor of the release pipeline showing the dev test stage. Why it is not? Okay, alert role has been created now. Go to release, create new pipeline. What is that mean? Wait, let's see. Let's do with the empty job only. It's not selecting that task. Okay, from the stage one window appearing under the stage one, give the name dev test. Close the pop-up window by using the X button. You are now in the graphical editor of the release pipeline showing the dev test stage. So on the top of the page, rename the current pipeline from new release to eShop on web CD. Hover the mouse over the Hover the mouse over the dev test stage and click the clone button to copy the dev test stage to an additional stage. Name this stage as production. The pipeline now contains two stages named dev, test, and production. On the pipeline tab, select add an artifact rectangle and select eShop on web CI in the source. Click add to confirm the selection of the artifact. So we are releasing something. So what we'll do, we'll select an artifact from source where it is coming. Add it. From the artifacts rectangle, notice the continuous deployment trigger, lightning bolt. So you can see that there is a lightning bolt over there, this one, continuous deployment trigger. Click it to open the continuous deployment trigger settings. Click disable to toggle the switch and enable it. Okay. So if you click on this, enable this trigger. Leave all the settings at the default and close the continuous deployment trigger pane by clicking the cross mark in the upper right corner. So whatever is default, we'll take it as. Okay. Within the dev test environment stage, click the job, first task label and review the task within this stage. Note the dev test environment has one task which respectively publishes the artifact package to the Azure web app. On all pipelines, eShop on web CD pane, ensure the dev test stage is selected. In the Azure subscription drop-down list, select your Azure subscription and click authorize. If prompted, authenticate by using your user account with the owner role in the Azure subscription. So let's see that. You click on. We'll choose a deployment task since I was not able to take that app service deployment task over there. So I'll choose it here with the empty job. Okay. So what was the task over there? Azure App Service Deployment. So Azure App Service deploy task we'll choose over here. Okay. We'll add that task over here. Since we were not able to directly add the template. So on all pipelines, eShop on web pane, ensure the dev test stage is selected in the Azure subscription drop-down list. Select your Azure subscription and click authorize. So display name Azure Service App Deploy and display name they're giving. If prompted, authenticate by username. Confirm the app type is set to web app on Windows. Okay. Next, in the app service name drop-down list, select the dev test web app. So all these settings you have to. So we'll select the subscription over here. On the service principal. Mhm.
Is this subscription from Azure portal or from here?
For Azure portal only I'm finding out, so it is not populating that. Azure, we have this subscription now, Azure subscription one, this one. They're trying to populate that over there, but it's not giving.
Copy and paste.
That will not work. Until unless it will give in the drop down, that will only work.
Uh-huh.
No worries, we can create a service connection. Okay. We can create a service connection. That will help. Create an automatic connection over here. Next. Portal might be slow today, I think. Not everything is
It's a holiday probably, so that's why.
it's not populating the resources. So we are just trying to set the release pipeline, how we set it earlier when we were not performing the labs, we are seeing the pipelines. In the similar manner, might be if you go back into the recordings, you will find out how we set up the release pipeline earlier. Okay. So in the same way, you have to set up the release pipeline over here. And after that, you have to set up the gates, configure release gates. After setting up the pipeline, you have to set up the release gates. And then you have to run your pipeline. That's what we have to do after this. So issue with the portal only today. I don't know why. Mm, None of the things are getting populated today.
If you do refresh or we lose everything or what?
I refreshed the browser again, still loading.
So it might be from the portal.
Yes, yes, there is an issue from the portal. Portal's slow today. No worries, you can try out this lab number 7 from your side. All the instructions are given. Okay. We'll continue from here in the next lab. Okay. Next class. Maybe today portal seems not to be working.
Abhishek, just I forgot where's the service connection where you click on it? Where do you find it to service connection?
Pardon?
I forgot where you create the service connection. Where you go?
Okay. Go to project settings on the left hand side. Okay. So
Okay.
this is the organization. This is our project. In the project on the left hand side at the down, there's a project
Mm-hmm.
setting here.
Yeah.
And in the project settings, you will find service connection in the
On service
pipeline
connection.
section. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Click on create, select resource manager, go to next, select service principal automatic. If you are creating a manual service connection, then first you have to go into the enter ID and create an app over there. What kind of app? App registration. After creating the app registration, what you have to do? You have to get the app ID and the secret, and you have to come back and you have to create the service principal manual here. But if you don't want to do that, then directly you can create service principal
Yeah,
auto.
just select automatic. Just
Yes.
select automatic is better.
Yeah. Now it is giving.
And now it's showing. Yeah.
Now it may give here also. Maybe. Now it's working fine. Don't have to create a
Yeah.
service connection.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'll click on authorize. For this method, I don't have to create a service connection. Okay. I can directly authorize using my credentials. App service type, web app on Windows, app service name you can give. So we were here. Hmm. Hmm. App service name drop down list, select the name of the dev test web app. Dev test web app. Okay. Select the task deploy app Azure app service in the package or folder field. Update the default value of system working directory zip to this. Now there must be a value over there. Package or folder is the value. You have to replace that value. Okay. Update the default value to this one. Web.zip like this. Notice an exclamation mark next to the task tab. This is expected as we need to configure the settings of the for the production. On all pipelines, eShop on Web CD pane, navigate to the pipeline tab, and this time within the production stage, click the job one. Similar to the dev test earlier, complete the pipeline settings and the task tab, production deployment process in the Azure subscription drop-down list. Select the Azure subscription you used for dev test environment shown under available Azure service connection. As we are already created the service connection before when authorizing the subscription use. In the app service name drop-down list, select the prod web app, select deploy app service package folder and choose the package folder. On all pipelines, eShop on Web CD, click save and in the save dialog box, click OK. You have now successfully configured the release pipeline. Now, after setting this pipeline, what we have to do, we have to again go back to the pipeline and we have to set the production one. We'll click on the production one, come to the agent job. Since we have not selected the template, so what we have to do, we have to manually set that. Okay, we have to manually set that. So we'll go to the deployment task again and Azure App Service deploy we will add. So in this section, connection type, Azure Resource Manager, Azure subscription, Azure available Azure service connections. So this one is available now. So we'll take it as we already authenticated in the dev test one. Okay. Then app service name, here you will choose the production one. Production you will choose. Okay. Package or folder, again you have to replace it. So replace it with this one. On all pipelines, eShop on Web CD pane, click save. In the save dialog box, click OK. So let's go back. Go back to the pipeline task. Click on save. In the browser window displaying the eShop on web project, in the vertical navigational pane in the pipeline section, click Pipelines. On the pipeline pane, click the entry representing eShop on web CI, build pipeline, and then click Run Pipeline. On the Run Pipeline pane, accept the default setting and click Run Trigger to the pipeline. Wait for the build job to finish. Why it is not allowing me to save this pipeline? Hmm.
Maybe you have to give it a name for saving. Maybe in service connection when you give an authentication.
Service connection. Oh, it's okay. If there would be have any problem, it should have given an error over here only. See, not giving any type of error. We have authorized that connection.
Yeah, looks fine. Try tracking production. Safe.
It is some permission related problem. So I'm just searching in the settings only. No worries, I'll find out these issues today. What is the issue? I'll have in the next class then. Okay, it will take time.